everybody, and welcome to this live stream. You're obviously watching the replay right now. I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for watching this, and also to everybody who attended today in this live stream. Now, most importantly, I would like to point out that there's numbers up here on the top of the screen. They're help lines, crisis lines. Please take note of them. If you may need them, I've got the numbers on the screen. Maybe even write them down for reference. I've got moderators in my live chat, and I should have a live chat replay. And moderators will be also dropping links. And there's also a link to for people in the UK that will be able to see that in the chat. And of course, as always, as you can see here in yellow, ring emergency if you ever think that yours or someone else's life is at risk. And please, if you can, present yourself to an emergency department close to you and get some help. And most importantly, please know that you're not alone. Now, I'd just also like to state that I'm not a medical professional, and the people that I'm going to have on as guests are not speaking as medical professionals. They're basically speaking in their own words, with their own opinions, and talking from their own experiences. And we just want to be able to make people aware of our situations that may help others. Let people know that they are not alone, because you're not alone. There's help out there. We don't want to be pushing people to a specific option. We just want to let you know that there's options out there. And of course, please seek proper medical advice. Make an informed decision from a medical professional that will help you, because there's so many people out there that can help you. All right. Let's get these guests onto the screen right now. And if I do this right, let's bring up Glenda from Grace and Fire. Right there. G'day, Glenda.
Good day. Hello, everybody.
And also I've got, if I can push the right button. Whoops, I just muted Glenda. And if I click the right button, I've got Lisa and Ryan here from Yogi Hollow Farm. Hang on, let me change that. Hang on, here we go.
Thank you.
My head's too big. Who wants the big head? Yeah, look, there you go. There's two heads on that screen, so we'll make that one the big one.
Perfect. I'm going to just move it. So there we go.
There we go.
Is that good? Hi, Glenda.
Hey, Lisa. Hi, Ryan.
Hello.
So, yeah, look, everybody in chat, thank you so much for being here. And as I was saying earlier, in case you missed it, this is a focused live stream on mental health. That's pretty much what we're going to be talking about today. And I hope it's of benefit to you. And look, if you could just respect the topic, that'd be much appreciated. It's not going to be an issue, because of all the names I'm seeing in the chat are really nice people that we all know and enjoy each other's company. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Now, I just really need to say that I'm absolutely stoked to be seeing Ryan. Thank you so much for being here, mate.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Daz.
Oh, mate, I really appreciate it, because I know from my experience of being a guy, I would not acknowledge my mental health issues at the start. And there was definitely, I think there's definitely a stigma about mental health out there anyway. But also from a guy's point of view, back when I first started having my issues and everything, it was very much joked about at work and brushed off. And I had comments like, hey, look, I had a situation where my life was in danger from another person, and it was legit. And that person has since gone on to actually commit a murder and is currently incarcerated for it. Now, I went to my managers about the situation and told them things had gone on. I'd actually gone home I just dropped things and left work. I was working overnight. Their response after all of that was, hey, you're a big bloke, just knock him out. That was... Now, I can't tell you the specifics, but there was some pretty full-on stuff that was said and done, and that was the official response I got from a very highly paid manager in a very large company. Obviously, today's different. I would hope that now there's a lot more training and awareness and everything. But yeah, I just wanted to point out that from a guy's point of view, it was very much, hey, you're a guy, or as we say in Australia, you're a bloke, get over it, mate. There's nothing wrong with you, and don't be a wuss, or, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I'm just so happy that another man has joined me on screen and
yes,
is happy to discuss it. So, Matt, thank you so much.
yes.
Are you able to hear us okay? Because we don't have a mic or headphones.
No, great. Yeah. I think chat's, there's no complaints in chat either. No one's saying that they're having issues with us.
Okay.
Yeah, so sorry, I'm just going to mute myself while I cough. All right, so I had this great big plan on what was going to happen and everything like that, but of course it's just live, it's going out of my head. So I think, first of all, since I've got Ryan and Lisa up here on screen, if you wouldn't mind maybe explaining to everyone, I guess, how mental health has affected you, either personally, professionally, through other people, yourselves. If you'd like to take a moment and, share what you are comfortable sharing.
Sure. I'll just say that just bear with me. Sometimes I take long pauses or lose track of what I'm thinking, but I'd say overall, I've had basically what I have is generalized anxiety disorder. I think I've had it for a majority of my life. It really started affecting me later on, roughly about 3 years ago, with panic attacks. I didn't know what they were. I was driving to work with one, and honestly, I thought I was having a heart attack, and I thought that was the end of it. It's the one thing I'll say, and I'll probably dance around here a little bit, but again, bear with me. I did when I started those. Obviously, it wasn't a heart attack or a stroke or anything like that. But I will say, to your point, Daz, a few minutes ago, of people not speaking about it. The one thing I've been pretty, I'd say for the most part, fairly open with my mental illness, and that I think it's important for people to know this isn't 30 or 40 years ago when this stuff wasn't talked about, or the situation you were mentioning. I think it's important to know, because I think that there's a majority, some people, or majority of people struggle with some level of it, or whether it's depression, anxiety, all these other types of issues. And let's look at the last few 3-4 years. It's tough, I think, for people to talk about it, but I definitely I did seek help from a therapist, and medication, of course. But basically, the road I went down was cognitive behavioral therapy, which did help. But I think the most part is talking about it, and I think the other part is a supportive family, or people close to you, friends. I've been fortunate to have that support. And granted, one thing I want to think is that there's far greater problems than I have out there, and that other people struggle with. And I worry, this is I guess a good time to be talking about this during, especially here in the United States, is this is Memorial Day weekend. We'll remember all of our fallen soldiers, or folks that have supported this country and gave their lives, and how that affects their families. And it's not easy, but those folks gave much more than I did, and I think it's important that we remember that, and that we, whether it's day-to-day struggles, I think it's important that we acknowledge that and talk about it, because otherwise, you know, I do see the struggle with some people to keep it in, and I'd say I probably kept it in for many years, until it became an issue. I'd say to your you were mentioning your situation earlier, and I can say as a manager and someone who's been in management positions for so many years, that type of behavior from those managers is not acceptable. I've always tried to be open with my employees, or, you know, people I'm working with or outside of work, that it's important that we all kind of have some basic understanding of what people may be going through, but it just sounds like, you know, there's certain things, especially you take personal life or work, there's some things are just not acceptable. And I think that it's unfortunate that you went through that, but those folks should have been held accountable, and then that should have never been able to. It just sounds like a poor management structure.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a second here. I've been going on long enough. I'll take a quick break here.
I'll do the same, actually. No, thank you so much, Ryan. That was fantastic. Yeah, it's so good to hear another man speaking on the topic. Yeah, not that I'm trying to dismiss anyone else's opinions or anything like that, but yeah, for me, I definitely came from a time and a situation where, yeah, just it's not a thing that men discussed or whatever, and which is wrong. And for instance, I'm sure America's probably got a similar situation to Australia, but in Australia, the suicide rate is incredibly high for farmers, in particular the male farmers, because I guess traditionally here in Australia, you know, they're country guys, they're country men, and yeah, I don't know, maybe they can't be showing those feelings and seeking help. And also, I guess, being so remote as well, there's limited options for them. But luckily now in Australia, it has come to light a lot more, and there's charities and foundations and all sorts of services out there. And I live in the country here in Australia, and on the rare occasion that I hear the radio, I'll hear advertisements on the radio for mental health for men specifically, which was really interesting. And I guess even special services for farmers alone and things like that. So things are getting there, and you know, I think we all just need to keep on talking about it and not dismissing it or brushing it off and things like that. And yeah, thanks, man. Ryan, thank you so much. I really can't thank you enough for being here.
No, it's important, and I think, you know, if you had talked to me 25 years ago, we probably wouldn't have been having this. But I think, you know, with times has changed, and as we modernize, and I don't think it doesn't make me any less of a man. I think what it does is, you know, you're aware that we're not going to sit here and struggle. With everything else in this world we're accepting too, and I think it's one of those things that is important, that you not struggle and resort to other avenues such as, you know, alcohol, drugs, and whatever else could be worse.
Absolutely.
But I think the other important piece is having a supportive spouse or family member or friend that you know, helps you through it. I mean, it's not easy, especially being with me is not easy. And I appreciate Lisa's support, and it's been a big help for the last 3 years. I'd say I've been struggling.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, obviously, I'm sorry that you've had to struggle like you have, and it's just great that you have Lisa support, and hopefully now these days, obviously I don't live in your country, but there's the resources out there that you can get if you need, and yeah, that's fantastic. So yeah, and yeah, something you touched on there as well is the support of someone else. Yeah, it's so important that we acknowledge the carers as well, because we're not, us as someone who may be having issues going on are suffering, but you've also got someone there that's trying to, say, live with you and adapt and cope and support. And say in my case, for instance, we've got 6 kids and it's pretty full on here. A couple of them have got health issues. A couple of them have autism, for instance. And it's got to a point now where, because I can't leave my house and I can't drive and stuff like that, my wife has to do all of that. And it's now come to the point where we've actually just only this week started the process of having one of my oldest sons become my carer, which, one, is amazing, and 2, I would never have said that in public probably a year ago. I would never have admitted that in public. But yeah, I'm at a point now where my wife is fantastic and she goes above and beyond, but it's just too much for her, unfortunately. And we sort of joke about me. We've got, as I said, 6 kids, so we joke about me being the 7th kid because, yeah, she's always running around picking up after me. And with my condition, I'm going to blame my memory, but I leave things laying around and I don't do things I'm supposed to. And so, yeah, look, as I said, we've just moved into the stage where I'm going to have one of my sons as a recognised carer, which is great because I don't think that was maybe an option years ago, and it was not something that was... Obviously, people did, and I'm not dismissing people in the past that did look after their parents and stuff like that as kids and teenagers and everything. But now, as far as, say, I don't know what you want to call it, government and everything, it's now being recognised and there's resources there that he can read up and get assistance and just help me with getting me outside for walks and driving me to stores if I can try and get to a store and things like that. So I can't mow my front lawn. I can't go out into my front yard. So I've got him there as backup to do that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on me too much. Lisa, if you wouldn't mind, Ryan, again, thank you so much for taking the time. And yeah, Lisa, if you wouldn't mind, I won't even say anything. I won't put words in your mouth. If you'd just like to, go for it, I guess.
So I was in the field of mental health and addiction services, and I was there for about 14 years. Went back to school late in life because it was something that I wanted to do, and I absolutely loved it. I recently retired. Again, I'll be speaking from my own experience tonight. So it was definitely something I absolutely adored doing. And in 2010, when my father died suddenly, I don't want to go into the whole story, but basically he had a DNR, and which is a do not resuscitate. And because my mother didn't have the paper on her, they resuscitated him. But he was essentially deceased, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the night that I saw him in the hospital was a very long, excruciating night, and it was like staring at a corpse, not my father. So that experience and following that was extremely brutal on me, to the point where I remember sitting at one of my jobs and in my office with the door closed and crying and not being able to read, not being able to get paperwork done and all that stuff, and thinking, what the heck is wrong with me? And here I am, I'm in the field, I should know what's wrong with me. To to find out that I'm depressed, and I probably had been most of my life, but that was what set everything off. I've been fine since a year after that happened. I've been able to handle all that, and the medication has been helpful in therapy as well. And of course, obviously, I had to go to therapy for my profession because I can't be having that. I just want to fix this. I'm sorry.
Fine.
So, no, it's okay. So, fast forward, plenty of years in the field, everything was fine. And then Ryan started having some struggles. And, I remember as a supportive spouse, because I don't want to say caregiver for him because everybody's different and he's able to work. He has his struggles. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is how hard it is. Because suddenly the person is struggling and you can't do anything to fix it. And I know for me that was really hard because I was trained in it, but he's not my client. So it's not my job to fix him. But at the same time, I remember that in addition to being very supportive and loving, I also needed to be very tough. Because if I wasn't tough, he wouldn't push himself and do the things he needed to do. So for example, I'll give you an example that isn't personal. Just when we were having conversations, it was a very fine line for me and it was very difficult. And so one of the things that I would say is, I can't treat you, I can't fix you, but I want you to think about if you don't do this, are you going to regret it? And I used to say my biggest fear is you're going to get worse and you're not going to be able to do anything. And so it's push yourself now before you get so far down. And he had to do it. And that was really hard. And without detail, can I just say you coming out?
Yeah, I don't have any.
When Ryan got the opportunity out here in South Dakota, it was a troublesome time just because he was struggling with the anxiety, and coming out here on his own, driving across the country, was very anxiety provoking. And I just kept saying, just keep thinking, if you don't come out here, are you going to kick yourself that you didn't come out here and find out what was going on? And he drove himself across the country on his own, having panic attacks. And I was so proud of him because he didn't kick himself for the opportunity. He was able to get out there. And I also want to say, I'm not saying that somebody who can't do that is less than. I'm just talking about our situation.
Yeah.
And so, because I do know that how quickly he spiraled downward, he didn't want to leave the house. And I know from my profession what that meant. And so it was, you need to get out. And even to this day, there's days he doesn't want to drive when we go an hour north. And I go, nope, you're driving. So the support is not only loving, but also, no, get going.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and that is important. Because like Lisa was saying, I left from North Carolina, and the first day on the trip, I made it to Illinois, and it was a rough day. And I went to stop at the hotel, didn't sleep very much. It was 5:30 in the morning. I got up, and I was at the exit of the hotel, and I sat there and says, well, I take a left, I head back home. I take a right, I keep going. And I struggled there for a few minutes, and I took the right, kept on going, and I made it to South Dakota late that night. And even the first few days of being out here by myself, and it was tough. It was really tough. And I think people, don't be afraid to talk about it, and let people know, because I think that's important.
Yeah.
I'll shut up.
No. Oh man, this is awesome. Thank you so much, you guys.
You're welcome.
Poor Glenda's down there in the bottom, all quiet at the moment, but Glenda will be up
Yes.
soon. Now, I just wanted to, if everyone would please take note of Jesse, Lazy Days Ahead with Jesse and Lisa, dropping links, as is Lisa Colobi, to helplines. But also, I've noticed that Lazy Days Ahead with Jesse and Lisa are also dropping information on different things, such as at the moment I can see PTSD and an explanation. So, yeah, if you wouldn't mind just maybe taking note of those. Now, normally I would share stuff like that on screen, but I really do want to keep the people on screen as the main focus of what's happening, and I don't want to distract from what they're saying, because as you're just saying, it was so important what Lisa has shared and Ryan's just shared, and I don't want to be having things popping up on the screen at the moment. So I apologize for not sort of going that way with the live stream. But yeah, by all means, please look at what they're saying in the chat and take note of all that common sense stuff. And but as I said, look, at the end of the day, you need to get professional medical advice and make an informed opinion on that. We're basically here is just an awareness situation. But again, please know you're not alone, and this affects everybody differently, whether it's someone that suffers from it, or a carer, or a partner, a child, a parent, you name it. Everybody's different. So just look at your own situation, I guess. Yes, Lisa.
I was going to say, when I went to school, they taught us that basically you could reach out, both arms outstretched, and you can touch somebody with mental health or addiction. And with my experience of working in the field, not only is that true, but if you think about the experience of folks who are the older generations, you might have heard, oh, crazy Uncle Larry, or Uncle Larry doesn't get out much, or he does this, he does that. A lot of that was mental health. And the other thing is that realizing that mental health has become much more common since that time, because I graduated in 2010. And also the fact that it's become much more complex. And so when I say this, I don't mean offense, but it used to be garden variety depression and anxiety, right? It was very clear cut what was going on with somebody. However, now it's a lot more challenging in the fact that somebody has a history of trauma, somebody has a history of depression, somebody has anxiety. It may look like PTSD, it may look like anxiety, it may look like generalized anxiety disorder. It can look like a lot of things. So I just wanted to say that, but and it should not be a taboo. There is nothing wrong at all with you. You have a medical condition, which means that your brain chemicals are not functioning correctly. And as a result, they're not communicating correctly. And there is medication that can help you. There are activities that can help you. Tons and tons of things that can help you. So it's no different than if you had diabetes and you had blood sugar levels. Your blood sugar levels drop. You get really feeling one way. Your blood sugar levels are high. You get feeling another way. That's what mental health is.
Yeah. Well, actually, just sorry to speak over you, Glenda. I heard the one word there, diabetes, and I think it's really important to make people understand that mental health and all the things that come from it are legitimate illnesses like diabetes and cancer, unfortunately. And I remember, if I can get this right, I was in denial with the doctor for a while, and the doctor said, if I get this right, something like, if you were sitting here with a broken leg, you would say to me, I've got a broken leg, fix it please. Just because I can't see inside my head that there's things that are happening don't say it's not there and brush it off and say there's nothing wrong, because there is an actual illness that's happening and it needs to be treated and fixed. So yeah, look, mental health is not, it's not some trendy new quote or saying or whatever. It's legitimate illness, and it's recognized by everyone professionally that it's an illness that needs to be treated. And as I said, there's help out there. So please take the resources, use the resources available. And look, even if, say, how do I put it? Going to the doctor, maybe if that's a bit of a struggle, make a list first of things that you could say you're having issues with, and go with the list. So if you've got trouble communicating, you could push the list across the table and say, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble verbalizing. Would you mind reading this list? Or maybe you could take a partner with you, or if you've got a good friend. I actually did that. I took my wife, and I still take my wife into my medical appointments now. I need that, but well, I don't need it, but I do. So yeah, look, as I keep on saying, you're not alone, and there's options out there, and yeah, there's ways of going about things. Yeah. Now, look, before I bring again, Glenda, I'm so sorry you've been sitting there so patiently. Before I bring Glenda up, I thought maybe I've got a couple of screens that I've made up that maybe I could bring up and we could share and discuss. And but we will get to you, Glenda. Hang on, I need to do the pointing thing over there somewhere. All right, I'm just going to try and do the share screen thing and move on. Okay, so as I'm clicking all these things and everything, there we go. So look, with mental health, who can suffer from this? Anyone. I might try and zoom that in, actually. That's better. Yeah, look, anyone can suffer from mental health and all the complications from it. Anyone at any time, anywhere. There is help. There's lots of it. And of course, you're not alone. So I just really wanted to stress these points to people out there that because, as I've said, I've had people contact me over the last year, and unfortunately, a lot of people are not sure of how to get help, or where, or why, or they're worried about the stigma and all those sorts of things. And you know what? Let's get it out there. Let's show everyone that, you know, things can be done, and there's no promises. Everyone's different, but you know, get out there and try and get the help that you need. Now, if I go back to, okay, so as I'm trying to expand this, options you have if you're feeling. Sorry, I was supposed to bring this up when I was talking about if you're feeling down and maybe you're not feeling that great. You've got options. So obviously, call your emergency number if yours or other life's in danger. I can't stress that enough. Just do it, and present yourself to your closest medical department. Emergency department at a hospital. You can contact a helpline in your country. You can talk to someone, and it does help. And as I said, the moderators are dropping links to helplines and websites for the USA, Canada, United States, Australia, and the UK. And also, I've got them up the top here. And I'll also give everyone a quick look at a few websites a bit later on in the live stream. Okay, so, and also, if it's not urgent to talk to someone, talk to your doctor, make an appointment, and look at your options. There's therapy and all sorts of things. Just get out there and talk about it, and yeah, get things done. And of course, as I keep on saying at the bottom there, you're not alone. Please understand this. Again, I've had some people contact me and sort of say that I feel alone, I feel helpless. I can't get help. but you can. There's phone numbers and there's trained people out there that you can talk to and help you get an understanding and hopefully encourage you. There are options, everyone. I really need you to understand there are options out there. Sorry, the guests, if you want to chime in on any of this at all, please, by all means. Another screen ahead was effects on daily life. So with mental illness, there's different things, there's different types of things that could be going on, I guess. And I was trying to think of things, excuse me, that I've been affected and how it affects me, and I'm sure it affects others. And there's that lack of motivation and staying in bed and ignoring tasks. And I have to admit that today, I almost skipped this. I just could not get out of bed. I didn't want to do it. I was so scared and I was worried and you name it. And thankfully, my wife was coming in every few minutes and you need to get out of bed and do this and everything. But yeah, unfortunately, it's something that I've got to deal with and I need to overcome. But yeah, there is that out there, that there's a lack of motivation, and there are ways of fixing that, and we can discuss that later. Personal hygiene suffers not washing yourself and your clothes and brushing your teeth. And I'm mentioning this because I know it's an issue for myself and an issue for other people. And I don't want people thinking it's just them. It does affect other people in different ways, and some of these ways. And I don't want people out there thinking, oh, it's only me and what's wrong with me and stuff like that. It is happening elsewhere to other people. Small tasks and commitments feel like they're enormous ones when they're not. Like today's live stream, I've got goosebumps and I'm shivering at the moment. It's just, I'm so nervous, and this is just feeling so overwhelming at the moment. And believe me, if I could accidentally trip on a switch and cut this live stream right now, I'd probably accidentally do it. But you know what? It's important, so I'm trying to hang in there.
You're doing great.
Yes.
Yeah, you're doing wonderful. Keep going.
Memory can be bad. Forgetfulness and confusion happens. Again, for you, any of you experiencing this, it's associated with what's happening with yourself. It's not just you. I'm really bad at, like, hey, give me a break. I've got 6 kids, and remembering their names or their birthdays and ages, I think that's an issue for anyone. Okay, but
Yes.
but unfortunately, there are situations, I know for me, that my wife has said, look, I've got to go take the kids away today and do this. If you wouldn't mind, at say 3 p.m., turning on the oven and it will cook itself. And when I get home, I'll dish it all up. Don't you worry. If you can just turn it on at 3 p.m. Guess what? My wife gets home at 4:30 and I don't know, I'm doing something else, and everyone's eating sandwiches for dinner, or they're eating dinner at 10 p.m. because the oven gets turned on at 4:30 instead of 3. So, yeah, it just happens. And, yeah, you're not the only one that is affected by this. A lot of us out there, I'm sure, have these problems. And lastly, symptoms can vary from person to person. We're all not the same. I may have, say, PTSD and the things that are associated with it, but then a person sitting beside me, they could also have it, and their symptoms are different. So I guess maybe, what am I trying to say? Don't think that, I'm struggling here. I'm sorry. Yes, Lisa.
The bottom line is, you know when something isn't right with you. So if something isn't right with you, and for at least 2 weeks, things are not feeling right for you, and then time goes on and you're still not it's still not right, go get help. And whether you have money or not, whether you have insurance or not, I don't know about other countries, but I know the United States, but call the helplines, even if it's something silly and you think, oh, it's not this, because otherwise what happens is it continues and we just keep adapting to how bad it gets.
Yeah.
So do what you need to do, but there's help available. And you know when things are not right for you.
Yeah, and actually, maybe that's a really good point. I'm not sure. I would assume other countries would be similar to Australia, but it's not going to cost you a fortune. There are volunteer services out there and charities that can help and give advice and things like that. So, for here in Australia, for instance, I can say that for you Aussies, don't think that money is holding you back, because there are ways that you can, for instance, Beyond Blue and Lifeline in Australia are free services that you can talk to people and get help and stuff like that. And I know in my case, here in Australia, I'm able to use bulk billing services for psychiatry and stuff like that, which helps me immensely, because some of the costs of some of the treatments can be quite expensive. But thankfully, there are options out there where, it's not going to cost so much. So I would imagine that possibly UK, Canada, USA, for instance, from what I was looking around and researching, there are. Sorry, Glenda. Yes.
I was going to say, some
Sorry.
people may qualify for Give an Hour in the United States, giveanour.org. It's a free mental health as well. Some people qualify for that.
Okay, can you just say the name again, please, Glenda?
It's giveanour.org. And it's not just an hour of mental health services. It's an hour each time of mental health services. You would be working with that provider. But certain people qualify for it. So you'd have to look at the website and see if you qualify.
Okay.
I've actually used it.
Okay.
There's also employee assistance programs. They usually call them EAP. But then there's also other acronyms for it. But the bottom line is usually when folks, if you get a job that has a benefits package, sometimes if you don't, they come with something which is, most people are associated with it if they're having like a work performance issue. But I'll give you one quick example. For example, we had somebody, EAP helps with all different aspects. It's not just mental health. So we had somebody hit my son's girlfriend's car that knocked it into Ryan's truck and into our garage, and we needed legal advice.
Wow.
Ryan's EAP was able to give us, employee assistance program was able to give us a consultation for free to be able to tell us what course of action we needed to take for that issue. Because obviously it wasn't the girlfriend's fault. She was hit. So we were trying to figure that kind of stuff out. However, they have mental health services. And where I used to work, they often have psychologists. So some places will have psychologists on duty. And it may be that they only come in every so often, but just something to think about.
Okay. Yeah. I must point out that over here in Australia, when I finally had to give up work, just before that, mental health was really starting to become recognized by the employer, which is the same employer I mentioned earlier where I had all those issues. And there was services that you could take through the employers to get advice on, say, legal matters, but in this case, mental health. And so I guess for those out there employed, maybe there's an option where you can look through an employer for assistance for your, say, if you've got work-related matters, definitely go down that avenue and sort of look and see what your options are with assistance there. Now, I had another screen. Thank you again, everyone, for bearing with me and joining me. And again, to the people on the panel, thank you so much for joining me and helping me out here. I appreciate it. We are going to be talking to Glenda soon, so please stick around for that, because what Glenda will be talking about is just awesome, and I really want everyone to actually just be able to take that in as well. So loneliness is something that I wanted to touch on because I think I won't say a lot of us, but I've definitely had conversations with people that I've made contact through my YouTube channel in private, and loneliness is an issue. There's people out there, due to whatever situation, that they feel alone, and some have contacted me to sort of say, do you mind if I discuss something or whatever? And of course not. And I just wanted to address that. And for anyone listening now and in the future, by all means, if you ever want to contact me personally via my email on my About page, or if you find me on Instagram, I'm under the name Daz YouTube. I think it's Daz_YouTube. By all means, you contact me on Instagram and I will reply. And I'm open. I have a very open mind to everything. So there's pretty much nothing off topic to me. So look, for instance, my eldest child, who was going to be here as a guest today, who unfortunately had to go to work, is trans. And they had a horrible time with obviously inside their own head trying to deal with everything that's going on, but also being in high school and coming out as gay in a country, dead set, small town country high school, being that different to your stereotypical kids that you see. So when my eldest came out to me, I was up one night at 12:30 at midnight, and I get this phone call from my eldest child that was living up here in the country with the grandparents at the time. And they were very nervous, and they were very nervous, and the voice was shaking, and they were quiet. And, Dad, I really need to tell you something, and I'm so sorry, type sort of wording and everything. And I was fearing the worst. I was thinking this was a goodbye call, and immediately I'm trying to think in my head, what do I say? How do I react? And then eventually they said to me, I really need to tell you that I'm gay. And I was like, that's it? What? Is this the conversation we're having? Like, is that all you're telling me? And they're like, yeah, I really need to tell you. And I swore, I'm like, well, I was thinking the worst. And yeah, no worries. Okay. Good on you. Have you got a girlfriend? And, all that sort of stuff. And it was no big deal to me. And that's how we are in this house and how we've raised our kids. And so, what I'm getting at is I'm telling you this because I want you all to know that if you want to get in touch about anything and stuff, about anything, I'm not judging. I'm not judgy. Like, there's obviously some topics out there that, don't get talking about football. Okay. But look, just, you want to get in touch. And you know what? I don't mean to put everybody on the spot, but everybody in chat and on the panel, if you want to, if you're willing to have someone contact you, because maybe someone knows you via YouTube and stuff like that. I don't want to put you on the spot, but can maybe people in chat say, I will listen, for instance, with an emoji or something, to let others know that they're willing to listen to somebody else. And then that way, maybe, say, for instance, Rochelle's here, Brampton Gardner, and I don't mean to put the pressure on you, Rochelle, because you might have a lot going on in your own life and you can't do that. But what I'm saying is that there might be someone that just associates themselves better with Rochelle's channel, for instance, and maybe they'd like to reach out to Rochelle for just a quick conversation. And so please, if anyone in chat is willing to listen and accept, a message or two, by all means, please speak up in chat and let people know. All right. So anyway, loneliness. So with loneliness, as I've got here, it's okay to talk to a doctor about it and look for options, such as therapy and stuff like that. There you go. Look, there's people here. And thank you for sharing the email too. The moderators, again, thank you so much for sharing these important links in the live stream today. But there you go. Rochelle at Brampton Gardner. I'm Englishing badly again. Is willing to chat. So, and look, Mennonite Farmhouse Land, I'm a safe zone, and Blue, Pam. I'm going to call you Pam. Now, look, I don't like calling Blue Pam because she's always been Blue. We've known each other for a while, but I'm going to call you Pam. Pam's willing to listen. So, look, Lazy Days ahead with Jesse and Lisa. Lenda here. I mean, this is awesome, everybody. G'day, Sheena. Thank you for being here. So there are people out there that will listen, and hopefully, there you go, the Cow Emporium, Annette, anytime on Instagram. So, look, hopefully, if there's somebody out there that that maybe feels more comfortable talking to someone that they've sort of been watching on YouTube, and they've said that they're willing to listen, by all means, please get in touch, because we all care. There's a lot of us out there that care, and as I said, you're not alone, and that's fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody. I didn't read out all the names, and I didn't read all the chat, but to everyone that did, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay, so again, with loneliness, getting busy with an activity, gardening, cooking, doing puzzles. I think getting your mind active, and even say your hands, and just doing things. You might feel alone at the time, but hopefully that will take your mind off it and just get busy. Now, look, connect with like-minded people online or look at local clubs. Now, say in my case, for instance, I couldn't go to a local club. I'd struggle. But what I've done is I've gone and started this YouTube channel where it was originally My Aussie Garden. And the intention was to tell people in situations similar to me, get out there, and whether it's just a small grow bag or if you've got a big raised garden bed, get out there and enjoy the garden and find satisfaction and get your head into a good space and go from there. But then what came from that was I found this community of people, and this incredible community of people that I've been able to fall back on behind the scenes and talk to in person. Well, not in person, sorry. Talk to privately with issues that I have and stuff like that. And it's incredible. So, just connecting with like-minded people is, you've got something in common to talk about, whether it's cooking or gardening or, I don't know, maybe you follow an NFL channel or something, maybe if that person is quite, willing to talk to people, just make comments and start conversations with them, either on their videos or their Twitter account or their Instagram and stuff like that. A pet. I don't know how many of you can hear, but I've got a chicken here that's making noises. So it can be as simple as a goldfish, and there's that caring for it, which gives you responsibility, but there's also that companionship and the bond. And the chicken is making noises because I've put her outside. And for anyone that doesn't, yes, I'm talking about you. And she's doing this, waving the chicken in my voice. So for anyone that doesn't know, I've got a chicken that came to me injured, and I started keeping her inside she was under some heavy medication and she couldn't be jumping around. And I decked out my room in here with newspaper and plastic and a Dettol, which is an antiseptic stuff for cleaning and wiping down surfaces, and so many toilet rolls. I tell you what, toilet paper crisis. You remember that? I think I've probably drained the local town of toilet paper in the last few weeks. I'll tell you what. But I've now got this chicken that lives inside with me, and she's become my friend. And she's like a puppy. I'll sit in here and I'll eat a sandwich or eat dinner or something while I'm working, and she stands on my feet and tries to climb up my legs. Last live stream, twice she jumped up onto my lap, and which she does when I watch TV. So, yeah, what I'm getting at there is having a pet as a companion. Oh, man, this is embarrassing. Last night I was sitting here at about maybe midnight, and I was watching Formula One qualifying in Monaco. And I'm here in this chair now because I was also preparing for this. And I've got a big sheet and a Hessian bag and everything on a recliner beside me for when she sits on it and watches TV with me. And I caught myself doing this. I cannot believe he crashed. Are you serious? I actually, and I don't think it's the only time I've done it, but yeah, I felt like an idiot. I'm like, are you serious? Like, really? And this chicken's just like turning its head on its side. What? Give me food. So, yeah, look, having a pet is a great companion. They just bring so much joy. And as I said, there's also the responsibility. It's up to you to feed them and clean them and make sure, their well-being. I don't know if any of you guys had anything to add to any of this before I move on.
I was going to say, go ahead, Glenda.
Well, I was going to say, some depending on your laws in your country, but if you have PTSD under the ADA, the American Disability Act, a properly trained service dog might be something to look at. We actually have one in our home. We have this really cool service dog that's actually saved my husband's life, and half of his job is for the medical alert, which is the PTSD side of it. And then he also does the mobility assist part. But the dog is just amazing. So if you have PTSD, that might be something to look at least in the United States. It is covered under the American Disabilities Act and has legal protection in public access.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Lisa.
And that is much different than the emotional support dog. So please,
right,
there's much more access with a service dog,
right,
that it comes under ADA. So if you don't know the difference, research it. There is a huge difference. And the other thing is, service dogs, please do not pet them or anything like that, because you are interfering with their process. Because, for example, someone who has seizures, the dog has to be in tune with their owner or person they're with so that their senses are clear, for lack of a better word. Because trust me, my own gut, like I've been on a plane and I'm like, in my head, I'm going like this. I want to pet him. But I see the best. And I've even said, can I pet your dog? And they said no. And I said, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But I think I felt the need to ask because it made me stop going like this.
Can I help with that one? Can I help with that thought? So when you see a service dog, this is what I tell people all the time. So because I have the dog here at the house, I get to pet him when he's off duty. And that's like the best thing. His name is Hawk. And so he gives the best Hawk facials, and he is a sweet boy. But when he is on duty, he is no different than a cane. He's no different than a wheelchair or an oxygen tank. He is critical medical equipment. And what I tell people is, would you go up to somebody and pet their wheelchair? Would you pet the oxygen tank? That's kind of odd. So think of it that way if that helps you. I don't pet my husband's service dog when that vest is on, because I need him to pay attention to my husband. He is actually working. So thank you for bringing that up. And also the ESA dogs versus the service dogs. From experience, we've had the dog in our home for 7 years. There is more training for a service dog than an ESA dog, and they do not have the same legal protection. The service dog that we have had 500 hours of service dog training. So, and then we have to do recertifications every year for public access. We're also looking at, is the dog still doing the tasks, and also the health of the dog. So there's a lot to this. Also, can I just put a plug in? Please don't take your pets and slap a vest on them and take them out, because I've turned into a bouncer where pets have, everybody thinks that their pet is sweet and kind, and they take their pets out to the stores, and their pets have actually attacked. And I have gotten in between dog fights. And so I leave my pet at home when we go shopping. In fact, my pet dog is actually over here. If you hear us snoring, there's a 14-year-old Cocker Spaniel down here. But we also, thank you for saying something about that, Lisa, because I'm very passionate about the service dogs. And I'm an open book about it. If you guys had any questions, I have 7 years of experience of having a service dog in my home. I know the process of it, and I know all of the legalities to it. And I'm pretty much a spitfire with that too. So at least in the United States.
So I just wanted to quickly say to everyone that's come into the chat recently, welcome. And I'm really sorry for not acknowledging everybody, but I really am trying to keep what's happening on the screen as the main focus today, because it's quite important what Lisa, Ryan, and Glenda are sharing today. And even popping up comments, I'm not doing that because I want the focus to be on the screen. We are looking at chat, and I appreciate all the comments. And of course, I appreciate the moderators dropping all the relevant links to the helplines. And if you're not aware, they are dropping links to crisis numbers and websites in the USA, Canada, the UK, and Australia. So if you need to use any of those links are there to help you out. And they're also dropping links to something such as PTSD, and it'll have a brief explanation. And I really appreciate the moderators doing that for me today. And also, I appreciate everybody in the chat respecting the conversation today. It's been fantastic. Now, again, I just want to point out to anyone that's come in late that we're not acting as medical professionals. We're just basically sharing our own experiences, and we're not trying to push you into one particular way of therapy or medication or anything like that. We're just trying to make you aware of maybe what we've been through or what's out there. And as I said earlier, please seek a professional trained person and make an informed decision yourself on the advice of a trained professional, because that's the route that you really need to go down. And there is help out there. And as I said earlier, many times, you are not alone. Please remember that, everybody out there. Now, Glenda has been so patient. Thank you so much. I've actually got a couple of other screens to share, but I want to put that on pause because Glenda has been sitting there and waiting for her turn patiently. And I'm really looking forward to what Glenda's about to share with everybody. So I'm I'm just going to hand it over to Glenda, and thank you so much for being here. And yeah, the stage is yours.
Well, for those who don't know me, I am a military and veteran caregiver. My husband suffers from PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and post-traumatic headaches. In 2007, I became his caregiver, but I didn't identify as a caregiver. He had PTSD and all the symptoms that go with that. And we were raising kids at home. The military did not train me what PTSD was. I was a key spouse at the time, which is a volunteer position where I would check in on the families of the deployed. I'd also welcome new military families into the installations. We'd also help if there was babies. But they never trained us on PTSD or mental health or wounded warriors for that matter. So this was all a new topic to me. And I didn't quite understand my husband, what was going on. I didn't understand mental health in this perspective. I didn't have the training. And when my husband had to go into the hospital for the first time, I asked his commander, I said, how do I tell this to my 3 young children that their dad is mentally ill? Because I didn't have the answers to this. And this was brought up earlier, but this was exactly what my husband's commander said. She said, tell your children that just like you would go to the doctor when you're sick, when you have an illness, when you have the flu or you have a cold, your dad is going to the hospital to get medical help. It's no different. And that's exactly what mental illness is. It's no different than a physical illness. We're going to get help for your dad. And to kind of help break that stigma, I mean, in 2007, that's what was being said. So my husband was admitted a couple of times for mental illness, and he actually sought intensive treatment and got better. And in 2010, he redeployed to his final location and sustained a brain injury at that point. And so then that's when I became a full-time caregiver. And he was ultimately medically retired from the service. And it threw our whole family off. But I had to help pick up the pieces, transition him out of the military and put him into the VA system. And if anybody in this chat is a veteran in the United States, you know, walking into the VA system is a little bit of a beast mode compared to your active duty side. But I've always stood right by my husband's side and trying to find those mental health providers. You know, it took some time, but to make sure that we had the right ones and also to look at the treatment. In 2018, I took him out. No, excuse me, 2017, I took him out to Colorado for a specialized MRI because we didn't quite understand the brain injury. Unfortunately, with PTSD and TBI, the symptoms overlap. A lot of the symptoms are very similar. So we weren't understanding some of the things that were going on with him. He was declining. His vision is a big component of that. He didn't lose that on impact. He lost that later. And we were not understanding what was going on. And so we went and had a SPECT MRI done. And a SPECT, S-P-E-C-T MRI looks at the blood flow of the brain. What we were able to see was that the hippocampus part of the brain, which is responsible for the PTSD, was in high blood flow. And so what I tell people, in my own personal opinion, this is not a professional, this is just Glenda, the caregiver, is that it's a physical. It's not just a psychological. We're looking at it in a physical illness because the hippocampus part of the brain, I could actually see my husband's blood flow in high going. On an imaging. I mean, I was looking at it going, wow, I cannot believe this. And then with the rest of his brain for the TBI, we had low blood flow. And I will also say that this has had a huge impact on me as a caregiver because I also have suffered from anxiety and depression. And there was a 2014 study on military and veteran caregivers, and in that study, it says that caregivers are 4 times more likely to suffer from depression than non-military caregivers. And so I have. And I have never publicly said this. I know my mom and aunt are in the chat, so they know this story. But back in December, my anxiety from everything hit me pretty hard. I was also in mental health, and I was getting counseling. But I actually suffered from SVT, supraventricular tachycardia. My heartbeat sped up to 240 beats a minute, and I was rushed to the emergency room. And the ER doctor told me that this was stress induced due to anxiety. I was minutes from passing away. So I was warned that stress can kill. So it's important to take care of yourself and to put yourself first, put your oxygen mask on first before you take care of somebody else. So I'm now making sure I share that information. Take care of you so you can take care of your loved one. So it's been a journey. And I'm constantly working with my husband's medical providers while I'm taking care of Glenda. And, we're living every day, and I'm thanking God that he's still here and he's still going. And, I want you to know that if you do have PTSD or, are struggling, you are not alone. And if you're a caregiver, it's okay to ask for help and it's okay to speak up. Depression is a thing. Anxiety is a thing. And I'm telling you, Glenda, have suffered this myself. And I actively still work on this every day. And, you're not alone. So, and I'm just so proud of what Daz is doing and being able to get this word out because, we need to break the stigma. In the military, it was just ridiculous, the stigma that we had. We are seeing a shift. I've gone back and have talked to generals and commanders as an advocate now. It's something that I do. I advocate for military and veteran caregivers, both within his branch of service, and then I also do it for a nonprofit. So we are seeing a shift, and we're seeing where it's being more accepted. But we have more work to do. This is not over to break the stigma. We've got to keep talking about this. And 22 suicides a day needs to stop. So we will not stop until this is breaking the stigma until this ends. So I'm going to keep speaking up.
You're so right. I mean, because one of the things that stands out in my mind was when I was in college. Now, mind you, I was a mom in college, so I wasn't a young teenager or a young adult. One of the girls, in the social work field, we all went up as a cohort. We all moved as a cohort. So we became very close because we just kept moving up to our different years together. Even when we went into our master's program, some of us went to different schools, but we were pretty tight. And I think for me, it was probably the first time that I had been in a mental health part of the hospital. And what struck me was that I want you to picture for a second, if somebody has a car accident or they become sick with a medical condition and you go to visit them, you bring flowers, you sneak them in a hamburger, all these different things, right? It's this all embracing, loving, trying to care about the person and really just care about their well-being, right? When somebody's sick in the hospital. So everybody's got that image in their head. A girl that I was in college with attempted suicide. And A bunch of us went to go visit her. We had to leave our belongings in a locker outside. We were able to visit in a 10 by 10 room with other families visiting with their families while someone watched us on camera. Now, some of the hospitals are getting much better here. I've worked in the mental health field long enough where I've been to several mental health wards, so to speak, and did fine. You know, they've definitely come a long way. But the other reason is there's also elements of why stuff like that is needed. And I say that just to give both sides of it, because I've also seen where a plastic utensil caused a significant injury to the person and to others. So, but I want you to just think about it. That's where that stigma is always there, and trying to find that balance between what is beneficial and healthy for somebody to recover in an environment versus where, you know, oh, you can only see one person one time a week kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, the other thing is that in seeking help for mental health, no matter what the mental health diagnosis is, it's not a one tool only. It's about having different tools in your toolbox to help you through it. So it might be counseling, and it might be recreational therapy, and it might be a service dog, or it might be a pet chicken, it might be gardening, but it's having all of these tools in your toolbox, and having that professional help to get you through this too. It's not just a one thing only, you want to have different avenues of support as well. And also, I think it helps to have somebody to back you up, and to have somebody to be able to reach out to and to talk to. I know, like, for me personally, when I'm really stressed out and I just need to kind of go, I can call my mom and I can call my aunt, and I can just say, look, I'm just having this really rough day, and there's zero judgment, and they'll just let me go, So you
Right.
just, you need that avenue of just kind of letting off, some steam too, So have those support people, and be available too, if you see somebody in crisis, don't judge them. Just be an ear to listen.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out that Ryan is just taking breaks and stuff. So if I don't want anyone to think that he's being rude, it just gets a little intense sitting here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, believe me, I know the feeling. It's perfectly fine. I was going to make an excuse before that I had to go check the chicken, and I was going to blank out the screen and just go for a bit of a walk. But no, she's doing fine. She's pecking on the glass and making all the noises, and she knows I'm talking about her right now. Actually, she's there looking at me, carrying on. But just as Glenda was saying about talking to someone and everything like that, I was just thinking, just spur of the moment. I mentioned earlier, for everybody in chat that's willing to listen, to be an ear for somebody, maybe if you could all, after the video, maybe pop in the comment section, I am willing to listen, in caps, and either a smiley or whatever. Just that phrase, just I am willing to listen, and then hopefully someone that's seeking, a conversation. Again, I want to point out to everyone that no one here is acting as a trained professional, and I would imagine that anyone in the chat section, if they did leave a message saying I will listen, or I'm here to listen, they're not acting as a trained professional. So please don't take it as that. It's just companionship and friendship, and believe me, talking to others helps so much. And a year ago, before I had my YouTube channel, I would not be on camera like this live on someone else's live stream. And I sure as heck would not be hosting my own live stream, I can guarantee you. And talking to everyone, using YouTube itself and everything has helped me to engage people in this format. Unfortunately, I still can't do it in real life. If one of you were to wanting to ring me and talk to me, I'd probably make an excuse about something. I can't talk on the phone. Or if you live close by, I'd be washing my hair a lot and unavailable a lot. So yeah, I'm
Squeaky clean hair.
oh yeah. I've still got a bit to overcome, but you know what? Talking to others really does help, and so if anybody out there in the chat, either now live or watching this replay, by all means, just put the words in caps. I'm willing to listen, and hopefully someone will reach out. And believe me, I'm no pro or anything like that, and I can't say everything is right that I express with someone in private. But I think it's fantastic that people have reached out and made contact with me, and we've been able to discuss quite privately things that we couldn't talk about here live on the stream or in the chat. And so, as we've been saying, you're not alone, everybody. You're not. And again, please, ultimately, you really need to seek the advice of a professional and make an informed decision from a trained professional. That's where it's at. But making small steps and getting in contact with other people and talking, it's going to help. Well, it's a step to help. And oh man, I really need to say again, Ryan, thank you so much for being here, mate. It's
absolutely.
It means so much to me that you came on board today, and and for everybody else as well. But for me, it's such a big deal to have a man come up and talk about their experience, and I appreciate it. Everyone appreciates it, Ryan. Sure. And I'm absolutely certain that there's someone out there watching either now or later that is going to look at what you've done, and there's going to be good to come from that. So seriously, Ryan, thank you so much for this.
You're welcome. There's one thing I wanted to add. I think that as I thought about it, I know I've come in and out, but
you're right.
The one thing I'll say is early on, I would say I was a skeptic on seeking help. And when I finally did, it actually got to the point when I was going to therapy and such that in reading different books, there is a lot of information out there, but that skepticism went away. And it's like, I guess for me, it was like, my arm, like, I don't know if Glenda said it or you did, Daz, but like my arm's broken. I understand that, fix it. And we move on. But I guess the brain is such a complex part of our body that I guess we totally don't understand, or some people obviously do, but that are there to help us. But I think seeking that help and I guess being open to learning what's wrong was a big piece for me, I guess. Yeah, that's all I got to add. But,
that's awesome.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome, mate. Everyone in chat, I have been reading chat, and I thank you so much for all of your comments. And as I said a couple of times now, unfortunately, I really wanted to keep the focus on the person talking on screen and giving them their time, and not bringing comments up on screen or saying hello to everyone and goodbye and the sort of stuff. But I just wanted to acknowledge I am going to break that rule just for a second, because I want to reply to this. Annette over in Western Australia, what annoys me is the judgment I get from family, even though I've tried to explain things. Look, I'm really sorry, and that's a shame. But you know what? There's other people that will listen, and they may not be blood, family, or whatever, but there's people out there that will listen. Myself, for instance, and many other people, and yeah, there's so many people out there that care. There's professionals that will listen.
Yep.
And they know the right thing to say. They know which direction to go. And again, as we've said, you're not alone. There's help out there. And anyone out there, please don't take the negativity from family and friends or so-called friends or work colleagues or you name it. You know what? See you later. Who cares what they think? What's important is you and what's going on with you and getting the right help that you need. And there's plenty of people out there that can do that and make the step and do it.
Can I add to that? I've experienced that myself from certain family members, and I want you to know you're not alone, Annette. Just so you know, people don't understand things, and it's easy to quickly judge. And it is very important to look for those people that are there to support you, and just hang in there is the best thing I can say, and because that's what I've had to do myself. Yeah. I've walked that line.
Yeah. I'm going to look at winding things down very soon. So first, I'll just give Glenda, then Lisa and Ryan the opportunity to maybe speak more on anything you want to talk about, either yourselves, what's going on, or any of the topics. And yeah, then I think we'll start making our goodbyes. So Glenda, would you like to continue on with something or bring something up?
Well, what I was going to say was, if you're in the United States and you're a military or veteran caregiver, if I can just make a shameless plug, and that's okay. There is resources for you if you're a military veteran caregiver for all eras. And you don't have to be in the VA caregiver program. A lot of caregivers think that you don't have to be, but I am an Elizabeth Dole Fellow, and we have the Hidden Heroes website, which is www.hiddenheroes.org. And there are resources there. There is a national resource directory out there. And I encourage caregivers to check that website out. It is full of all kinds of things for support and for help. And also, Give an Hour, I've actually have personally used that for mental health. So that's just from personal experience. I do advocate, back to the Hidden Heroes, I advocate for military and veteran caregivers. We've gone to DC. So if you want to see kind of what we're up to, as far as that's concerned, go check that out. I want to also just kind of tell you, Daz, my husband's service dog rocks an Aussie patch on his dog's vest. I don't have it upstairs. Really? Yes, sir. And in 2019, and we had an Air Force Wounded Warrior trials, and Aussie Wounded Warriors came up and they competed with us. And my husband was presented an Aussie flag, and it was slapped right on the dog's vest. And that's so cool. We go around with an Aussie flag. So I've been meaning to tell you that. So yeah, so a lot of people think my husband was in the Aussie military, and I'm like, no, this was an Aussie Wounded Warrior that presented this, and he had PTSD and got to tell us a little bit about his story. And so we proudly have left that right where he slapped that right onto the dog's vest. So
very cool. Yeah, my dad's actually retired Australian Air Force, so that's cool.
Yeah. I will take a picture at some point, and I'll send it to you in a private message.
Oh, awesome. Now, if I can get myself organized, I'm going to try to add all the links in the description later on after this. So it might take me a while because, unfortunately, with the way things work with me, I put things off and then I get back to them. And see, I've just lost my train of thought again. I don't know. It happens. Like, see, right. Okay, sorry. Right now, I've got puppies in my mind. Where did that come from? I don't know.
Diesel was barking.
There you go. It's Diesel, bad dog.
Oh my gosh. I know I'm a little gun shy. I'm afraid to say bad dog when he barked earlier because I'm like, now I don't know if I'm muted or not. One of the things that I do want to say, all right, because I want to be real about this, is my work in the field has taught me that, like all fields, people go for help and they don't feel they're being listened to. Right. And so don't take no for an answer, okay? You deserve help and you deserve more. So if you watch this and you feel encouraged to go for help and you go for help and your primary care doctor poo-poos you, acts like everything's fine, don't listen.
Yeah.
Call somebody else for help. Don't let somebody dictate that you're going to be miserable. I'm sorry, but it happens. I wish I could say it would never happen. I had a wonderful primary care doctor, and he treated my son and I for years. And I told you I'm in this field. And when I sat in his office crying, he said, geez, what is wrong today? And he was a sweetheart. I've been to other doctors who told me there was nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
So I want to point that out because I would hate for somebody to finally get the courage to go to get help only to feel discouraged again. So please know that you're worth it and you can feel better. You need to advocate for your own care. If you struggle with that, reach out to somebody and ask them. And like Annette at the Cow Emporium said, don't take no for an answer. You deserve to feel better.
Right.
Well, the chicken knocked something over.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know how to. She's so keen to get inside and be with me. It's crazy. But I know if I let her in, she's going to sit on my lap and be distracting. Any other live stream that might be cool, but not today. Lisa, it's what you said is so spot on because I went to a doctor years ago and I actually did what I said earlier about I knew I was going to have trouble expressing to him what was going on. And this is the first time I tried to approach a doctor about, I don't know, something's just not right. I had, far out. I had a tree on the way home from work marked out as the tree where I was going to deliberately finish things. That was a plan of attack, you could say. It was, I don't know how many times I went there in my head, because I was smart. You know what? I was like, you know what? If I do something really obvious, my family won't get the insurance money. But I have a car accident, they'll get paid out. It was just the way you think is just crazy. And so I went to the doctor with this list of everything, and basically what I just said, plus a bunch of other stuff. His reply, and I was, oh man, I'm angry now even. His reply was, oh, it sounds like you're unhappy in your job. You should probably look at getting a transfer. That's it. That was, and it was like, see you later. I was so upset. And I don't think I went to a doctor again for quite a long time. Actually, no, you know what? I didn't. It wasn't until I moved up here into the country about 5 years ago. And luckily for me, I got the most awesome female doctor who, when I told her what was going on and some of the things, I was not physically abusive with my family, but verbally I would swear, and I'm a big guy, and I would not recognize that my presence can be intimidating to my wife or my children. And yeah, thankfully, I can remember she had tears in her eyes, and she's like, you know what, we can do this. you and me, and it was awesome. And when you find that right doctor or therapist or whoever it is, oh man, it was one of the best things I've done in my life because yeah, she, believe me, I'm not the person I used to be. I've still got a lot of mending to do and things to overcome. But I can definitely say now that my family don't walk around like they're walking on eggshells and stuff like that. And everyone's life is for the better since this one doctor, man, this one lady, she was like, yep, let's do this. And it was like, let's do this. It was probably exactly that with the hand motion and everything. And yeah, I've got a lot to thank her for. So again, as much as we talk about it and, we can all talk to each other and help each other out here and there, I really can't recommend seeing a trained professional enough, because if you get the right one, it's going to happen, guys. And as Lisa said, don't accept rubbish. Don't accept it, because unfortunately there are people out there that professionally are not up to par. And you know what? If you can, move on and find the right one, because they are out there.
And one last quick thing is there's medical conditions that can cause mental health issues. I'm not going to go through them, okay? Yep. But it can be that easy, that quick to fix, all right? Yep. The other thing is just making sure that, I lost my train of thought.
No, you're right. I know the feeling very well.
I lost my train of thought, but, okay, I got it. So, yeah, it could, for example, a thyroid condition can cause some serious depression. It can cause psychosis, okay? Yeah. Okay. So the other part of it is you can't pour from an empty cup, right? Mm. So if you're not taking care of yourself as a caregiver or somebody who's struggling, you can't take care of anyone else at all. That's something to know. So you have to take care of you, and that will always be an important thing. And then I had a third one, and I'm blanking on. Oh, and it was so important too.
It's okay.
There is strength in asking for help. You're not weak. That was my thought.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, spot on. Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's absolutely strength in asking for help. And there's, that was what I was going to say. Understand when somebody tells you that you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps or whatever the saying is, or like Annette was saying, people are giving her a hard time. Yeah. Even if they're your family, don't go talk to them.
Yeah.
Set that boundary and call someone who understands what you're going through. Because if you're going to call your family and your family doesn't get it, and they're going to frustrate you or make you feel less than because of their lack of understanding of what you're going through, that's okay. Just don't talk to them. Yeah. Call somebody who understands. And that's why we say, call those helplines, go to a professional. That was what I wanted to get to. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, I had a couple of other screens I was going to share, but, I think ultimately we've covered it in some way or another. Basically, I just wanted to let everyone know that, number one, you're not alone. Number two, seek help. You can take baby steps, but by all means, if you are feeling like it's urgent, though, you've got these crisis websites and numbers that the moderators have been linking to. You've got the number on the screen at the moment. I will put them in the description. Jesse has messaged me on Instagram with all the links, has done all that work for me. Jesse is such a champion, as always. And I will put those in the description for anyone either soon after this or watching this in the future. See, I've just lost my train of thought. But
Thank
yes,
you, mods.
Yes.
okay, yeah, get me back. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, thank you so much to the moderators for dropping that very important information. And for everyone watching, just know that in your country, no matter where you are, you can either ring your emergency phone number. In fact, you know what? Sorry, just quickly, I'm going to show you this. Let me close these windows on the other screen.
And thank you to everybody for being respectful too in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you so much. Now, if I just go to share screen and do all the OKs and everything. This website here, wheelchairtravel.org, which I found last night. I wanted to just, if anybody's unsure, if you're either, for some reason, if you don't know your emergency numbers in your country, or if you're a traveler, maybe someone watching travels for business and things like that, this website lists the emergency numbers for quite a lot of countries around the world. So we're looking at wheelchairtravel.org is the website. And if anyone needs an emergency number in any country, well, most countries, I would say, this website seems to be a really good reference for that number because, again, I just really want to point out that if your life or anyone else's life is at risk, you really need to ring your emergency number in your area straight away. If possible, present yourself to the emergency department at your closest hospital and go from there. And as we said, there's also the crisis helplines that we've been linking to in the USA, Canada, Australia, and who did I miss? The UK. Now, I cannot say that all the information I've given you is the best information. I can only share with you what I've found as an average Joe. So there might be better crisis numbers or websites out there. I'm just trying to steer you in the direction to get started, and then ultimately it's up to you. You need to get up and, whether it's small baby steps, as we said, get out there and look for the help, and ultimately a trained professional is the way to go. They're the ones that are really going to help you out. And as Lisa said just before, you might get one that's not the best, move on, find the one that is, because I did that and I cannot thank her enough. Now, speaking of not being able to thank people enough, Glenda, Lisa, Ryan, thank you so much for doing this. This means thank you. It's a topic that's very important to me, and I might be a gardening and cooking channel, but the whole thing with mental health is that it's not just a person that works in a factory or a person that works at a train station or a person that cooks or gardens. It's everyone that's affected in some way, whether it's you directly or a spouse. It's just important that we're all aware. And again, we'll say it for I don't know how many times now, you are not alone. You need to know that. I just can't say it enough. And for one last time, if anyone in the chat now or in the future is willing to listen to someone, by all means, put I will listen in the chat after this. But just anyone, please note that most likely none of those people are trained professionals. So it's an ear to lean on. It's not professional advice. So yeah, look, I think I'm going to wind things up. My nerves are getting the better of me, and I'm looking at the time, and we're coming up to 2 hours. So thank you so much to everybody in chat for being here. Yes. Thank you so much to the moderators for sharing all those important links. Thank you so much, of course, to the people on the panel. And I just want to personally thank my wife and my family for sticking by me, and I put them through a lot, and I still do, because I'm child number 7. But yeah, things are getting better. It's slow, but I've not given up, and I won't. And yeah, look, just there you go, Brampton Gardner, Rochelle, virtual hug.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sending
so
love. Yes.
all right. Any final comments from Lisa, Ryan, and Glenda?
You're not alone, and there's help out there, so you don't have to suffer.
And take care of yourself too, so that way your loved ones have you too. It's important. You are important. You are so important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, agreed.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to wind it up there. I'm horrible at my goodbyes. I ramble for another 10 minutes. So I'm now hovering over the end stream button, and there's nothing I can do to get out of that. So thank you so much to everybody.
All right. Thank you for having us, Daz.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you all. Thank you for doing this. And I'm sure I'll see you all soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.